What's going on, y'all? It's your new favorite sommelier, Adarius D. Payton, CEO and lead som at Just Grapes Wine Club. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about the wine club in a bit, but first, let me tell you a little bit more about me. So, I was born and raised in East Oakland, California, USA, West Coast to best coast, West Side, best side, and I spent some time in Chicago. Had a great time in Chicago and bumped into a sommelier by the name of Derek C. Westbrook. Now, at the time, I didn't even know how to spell sommelier, but Derek really put me on game. Like, he taught me how to figure out what it is that I like, but more importantly, what it is that I don't like. So I kind of followed him and became a som. Got my education at the Atlanta School of Wine, right down I-85 from Charlotte, North Carolina, and that's how I got here today. So today, it's not about being snooty, it's not about being bougie, it's not about sounding like we're more educated than what we are. It's all about figuring out what it is that we like, because at the end of the day, it's just grapes. So, what is Just Grapes Wine Club? Just Grapes is all about building community, educating you, and also empowering you to explore on your own. When I started Just Grapes, it wasn't because the name was cool. It wasn't because wine is the new thing. I started Just Grapes because I thought about my own journey into wine. It felt real convoluted. It felt real uppity. It felt real unapproachable. And Just Grapes is here to reimagine, if you will, the world of wine. You don't need to be a sommelier or know how to speak French to enjoy wine. In fact, all you need to know is what you like and what you don't like. Now, in the upcoming weeks, you're gonna learn a lot more about Just Grapes. You'll hear from us a lot more as well. So do me a favor. I have to give you a quick call to action. If you're not following us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and tap in with us whenever you can. Because at the end of the day, it's just grapes. So glassware. Glassware is very important when it comes to wine because it either accentuates the flavor, the aroma, or makes the sensory experience better. The sensory experience is just kind of bougie wine talk for the tasting experience. So in front of me today, I have 3 different types of glassware. I have a champagne flute, a white wine glass, and a red wine glass. They all serve very different purposes, but you'll notice they're all kind of built the same. So there's 4 different components of a wine glass. There's the lips, there's the bulb, the stem, and the base. The bulb is probably where you see the most variability because the bulb is driven based off the type of wine that you're drinking. So on my right, I have a champagne flute. You've probably seen one of these before if you've been out at brunch with the girlies or you've been at home just drinking sparkling wine. You've had sparkling wine in one of these. And they're really designed to keep the bubbles tight in the sparkling wine. Sparkling wine is known for good bubble character. If you put it in a glass that's too big, like a red wine glass, the bubbles won't stay tight and you won't get that carbonation or effervescence on your palate that you're used to when you drink sparkling wine. In the middle, we have a white wine glass, and it's kind of like a hybrid between a red wine glass and a champagne flute. It's got a bulb so the wine can get some space, but you don't want to give white wine too much space. You want it to breathe, yes, but you don't want it to breathe too much. Because if it does, it won't taste how it's supposed to taste, and then you'll be mad at me for giving you information that was not all the way accurate. So that is the white wine glass. And then last, but certainly not least, is the red wine glass. So for those of y'all that like big body wines, you like to drive a big body Benz, the red wine glass is built just for that. It has a bigger bulb so that the wine can stretch, it can activate all the flavor, and you'll notice oftentimes that the lips are curved in. And that's because they want the wine to get into your palate very quickly, but also so you can sniff it and get all the aromas without missing something. Okay, so now that we got the uptight stuff out the way, let's talk about my favorite type of glassware, the red Solo cup. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have drank $300 bottles of wine out of a red Solo cup. Again, telling y'all I'm giving y'all game, not giving you rules per se. The red Solo is a staple in many of our lives. When we see it, we know some happy juice is more than likely inside. All right, so I get this question a lot, and it's actually one of the biggest myths in the world of wine. Does red wine always have to be served at room temperature? And the answer to that question is technically yes, but there's a caveat. Again, I'm not necessarily giving you rules, but I'm just giving you game. So when we think about the temperature of wine, room temperature is not the temperature that's at your house. Some of y'all are a little diabolical. The house be on 77, 78 degrees. That's not room temperature. Room temperature is actually industry speak for cellar temperature. Cellars are usually underground, so they're cooler. So when we think about the temperature of wine, when you buy a white wine, you should immediately take it out of your car and put it into the refrigerator. Before you drink it, you want to take it out the fridge 30 minutes before you're about to drink it. Red wine is the exact opposite. So if you buy red wine and you don't put it in the refrigerator right away, that's cool. 30 minutes before you're about to drink the red wine, put it in the refrigerator. The red wine needs to be chilled just a little bit so you can experience all the flavors, all the aromas, all the things with the red wine. So 30 minutes before you're about to drink red wine, put it in the fridge. 30 minutes before you're about to drink white wine, take it out the fridge. The second thing I want to tell you about is how you should store the wine. If you've ever bought wine from the store, believe it or not, they are storing it wrong. More often than not, the wine bottles are standing up just like this, which I guess is okay if you're trying to conserve space, but it's not the best for the wine. So you're probably wondering, okay, well, why can the bottles not be standing straight up? Well, in a lot of cases, wine is supposed to be aged. And if you're aging wine and you have it sitting straight up, the cork will dry out. And there's nothing more annoying than buying a bottle of wine and going to uncork it, and the cork completely crumbles, and now it's all in the wine. More often than not, you can't bounce back from that. Like, I guess you could still drink the wine with corks kind of floating around in it. I know I have before, but this ain't really about me. It's about y'all. So I want better. So how you should store the wine at your house is you want to have it on its side. That way some moisture can get onto the cork and we can make certain that it does not dry out. Because again, you do not want the wine cork to get dry and break off into the wine. It's just not very pleasant. And for my fellas out there, there's nothing worse than you entertaining a young lady, you bring out a nice bottle of red wine, you go to uncork it, and now it's crumbling, and now you've got nothing to drink. It's not a predicament you want to be in. But like I said, I'm not giving you rules, I'm just giving you game. Because at the end of the day, it's just grapes. So at this point, you're probably about to go to the store and try to buy a bottle of wine, and that's what I would expect you to do. But that can be a little bit confusing. So my testimony is relatively simple. My first time buying wine, I actually bought a bottle of wine because the label was hella cool. And that's a cool way to go about it, but there's a more efficient way to go about it as well. So when we think about the world of wine, and I want you to remember this, it's always in twos. We've got two different types of wine labels. We've got old world wines, and then we've got new world wines. So let's start with the old school. You know, I was raised old school, so I like to give them their props. On my right, you see an old world bottle of wine. Now the old world is a little bogus because they expect you to know the popular grapes from a particular region before you buy the wine, which is kind of bogus, but it is what it is. Like, for example, if a wine is from Bordeaux, they assume that you know Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot are the dominant grapes there. Or if a bottle is from Burgundy, France, they assume that you know that it's either Pinot Noir or Chardonnay. But you don't necessarily have to know that, but you will know that because you're rocking with your boy. So that's not even a problem for you anymore. But one thing about old world wine labels is they lead with region and terroir or vineyard. What does that mean? They say absolutely nothing about the grape on the bottle for old world wines. And you're probably wondering, okay, well, what is old world? Glad you asked. Old world are your historic wine growing regions. Regions like France, Italy, Spain, Germany. They all assume that you know what the dominant grape varietals are in each region. So what you'll see here is a wine from the old world. This is a red from Côtes du Rhône. Côtes du Rhône is in the south of France, and it's known for Grenache and Syrah. So this bottle has Grenache and Syrah in it. Now, cheat code, because I don't expect you to know all the dominant varietals or dominant grapes in France, because there's literally 13 regions there. And even as a somm, sometimes I get confused. More often than not, you can turn the bottle around and it will tell you the composition of the wine. So this, 80% Grenache, 20% Syrah. So again, cheat code, because I want y'all to be great. It's on the actual back of the label. So now on to the New World. And the New World are new emerging regions that are not historic wine growing regions. So think places like California, Argentina, Chile, Australia, New Zealand, you name it. Those wines from the New World typically tell you what's exactly in the wine. They tell you what grape is in the wine. So for example, we see a Pinot Noir from Central Coast, which is in California. Who would have thought that putting what grape is in the wine on the bottle was a great idea, but it was masterful. New World wines, in my humble opinion, are a lot easier to decode than wines that come from the Old World. Another key difference, and we'll talk about this more, is climate. New World wines typically come from warmer regions, Australia, California, Argentina, you name it. And Old World wines come from places that sometimes get a bit cooler. Think Northern Italy, think Northern France, think Germany, typically cooler climates. So that will tell you a lot about the character of the grapes. Grapes grown in warmer climates typically have more ripe fruit character. They typically have a longer growing season, so the body is bigger. And then wines from cooler climates typically don't necessarily have as long of a growing season, so it's more acidity, less sugar, may not have as much alcohol content, and it may taste a little bit lighter on your palate compared to something that comes from a warmer climate. All right, so day one is done. We finally got content, shot for 3 hours. Couldn't do it without this amazing team behind me. Rod, Brad, Taylor, Chauncey, Brittany, and Jana. We hope y'all enjoy it, and for real, tap in with us. Like, it's just grapes. I am giving y'all game for free for now, but tap in with us. That's it.
That's right.